talks, nobody talks, nobody talks shidduchim.
This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast.
Okay, this is Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast, episode 69, Toxic Friends and Platonic Relationships. I'm here, joined in the studio with Avery, of course, and we have a special guest, contributor to the show, Holy Shid, Ahuva Shandelman is here.
Wow.
There you go. I forget, like, the buttons. Okay, toxic friends and platonic relationships. We could literally just give the mic over to Avery, and you can just tell us about every relationship you've been, which has probably been toxic.
Yeah, I should be on one of those Real Housewives shows with all my friends, and they're now going to interview me after the episode, after a particular incident.
That's probably where, like, that.
So Isaac and I have been friends for a long time, and I can't believe the other day when he took the milk out and left it, just didn't buy any more milk.
I did do that.
What a toxic.
That's like a very big house.
What a horrible.
This
thing.
happens in movies too.
Yep, terrible.
So look,
and then he left the TV on Game of Thrones when I wanted to watch Seinfeld.
It's true.
Disaster.
It's true.
But it's a relationship.
Toxic relationships. You got to cut them off, right?
Well,
so you grew up with them, shared the most sentimental memories with them, but once you enter the shidduch core, or even your later 20 years, everything changes. Toxic friends exist, and they are holding you back from your shidduch excursions. Holy Shid joins us to discuss. What are toxic relationships, Avery? Tell me.
Well, for those of you that have been listening to the last 68 episodes, you've had a prime example.
You're funny. You're hilarious. You're hilarious.
No. I'm sure we all contribute into, especially me. I'm probably the most toxic person that each of you have met, which is, I wear that as a badge of honor, because toxicity doesn't come easy to people. It takes many years of horrible conditioning from parenthood and childhood and watching bad toxic movies and trash TV is what they call it nowadays. So it hasn't come easy. But my definition of a toxic relationship is a relationship that feels negatively, that harms me, that is negative for me in whatever way. So it could be negative for my physical health, negative for my mental health, negative for my emotional health. And many times, the toxic relationship has been contributed to by me, mostly, and that's really what I
You were
think.
The toxic E or the toxic or?
Well, it depends. A toxic mindset. Let's say I have been in a toxic mindset, whether that has contributed to relationships, friendships, career choices, work relationships. So toxic, it's a very difficult thing to define within just a friendship structure. I think it, hits on a broader aspect of what, people are going through. But that's sort of how I view it.
Well, I think we could expand the terms. Like, it could be toxic people. Doesn't have to just be toxic friends. That's true.
Religion could be toxic for people. I mean, there are so many things but right now I guess we're going to limit it to friendships. But yeah. Well,
Ahuva will tell us. She's a dating expert.
Yeah.
Okay, Ahuva, what is a toxic relationship?
I think you were right on. I mean, when you look at the word toxic in any context, like toxic waste, toxic. Is this product toxic? Is this food toxic? Is this gas toxic? It means it's not good for you and it could harm you. So toxic relationship is different than a toxic person, because actually you can have two healthy people. I mean, we'll get into that, but technically follow this. Two good people, two healthy people that are toxic together, right? So the relationship becomes toxic. What you're talking about, Avery, I never know when you're joking exactly.
Great question. I don't know either.
Because that was like...
Never. I don't think he ever really is. It's
but
like all true.
What I heard you saying is that you were in a toxic relationship with yourself.
Yes.
So why are you laughing?
Wow. Is that possible?
Yeah, of course it is.
Definitely. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that any relationship you went into, be it work, be it yourself, be it friends, be it girls, whatever was going on for you, became toxic because you weren't, like you said, in a good quote mindset.
Right.
What was that mindset?
Entering things out of places of need or places of desire, using those outlets or people, relationships to fill the void, which I felt like I needed filled because I was very clearly unhappy with whatever was going on in my life at the time.
Right.
So that would be a reason that those things were toxic for me, because that's not the answer. Having this person in your relationship is not necessarily an answer to whatever fills your void, whatever is plaguing you on a deeper level.
So you may have been in a relationship with somebody who was possibly healthier than you.
Yes.
But because of how you were approaching the relationship got toxic.
Right.
Because of where you were coming from and what you were trying to fill with it.
Yeah. So I ascribe that to most people I meet. I'm like, most people are healthy. I just think I have like some sort of, and I think many people, I think most people generally, we probably are all toxic to a certain level. We're humans, we're selfish, we're focused on ourselves. And I think that if you accept that and understand it, and then you won't really care as much about other people's toxic traits because you accept that we're all flawed. And since we're all flawed, we're all going to have some level of toxicity or some difficulty in a relationship. So
yeah, I don't know. I sort of agree with you in many ways.
Yeah.
But I think the word toxic takes things to a different level.
Okay.
There are people that are unhealthy or a bit flawed. I get that. We're all human. We're not perfect. We have our isms. We annoy people certain ways. We're particular, whatever that is. Toxic to me, let's just say I think for discussion's sake, we need to get on the same page about the word toxic.
Yes.
It
we need to
means
define
harmful to you. I don't think most people.
Mom.
Your mom's calling. Fire
toxic
your
during a
mom.
podcast? How dare she? She knows.
Of all
like
people
awkward.
to call
She
during a
knows.
podcast
This is like-
with the Shid, it's your mom.
This is like, oh my
Boundaries,
God.
girl.
My
Your
mother
mom.
just calls me. There's a family event going on. There was a bris today in the family.
I
I hope it wasn't yours.
The first bris.
He's got enough. He's got no room left for a breast.
It was not mine. It was not mine. No, it was not the bastard son of Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast. Anyway, that's why she was calling. Okay, I'll call her back. Yeah. Okay, bye. Okay, as you were saying.
Toxic means like really poisonous to you.
Poisonous, right? That's what I thought. I would like to define a toxic relationship, a toxic friendship, as a relationship or a friendship that you're in, and it worked before. Maybe it'll work later, or at some point in time it was a strong. But like now, it's becoming toxic. It's becoming harmful to you, and you don't realize it most of the time.
Or you do realize that, and you just don't know how to navigate.
You don't know how to navigate it, right? So, like, what's that? So, like, on that second point you said, on the ladder, that could be in a relationship where, let's say, it's a family member, and you can't work around it. If I have a toxic relationship with a family member, and I'm stuck with them. Like, you can't really escape them.
I disagree. You can't escape them. They're still your family, but
you
could
can't escape
limit
them.
your exposure to the toxicity.
You have to work around them.
So I like to think
tell us
about it.
about
Like,
that.
let's say you didn't used to be allergic to peanuts, and then all of a sudden you develop a peanut allergy. But guess what? You also work in a peanut factory, and you really like your job.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Peanut Factory. I like. Is that new? Did you? No, you've been using that for years.
I've been using that a little bit.
I'm gonna start using that on my shidduch dates. I work on a peanut factory. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought. Oh, I didn't mean it that way.
Are there peanut factories? You work for Jiffy or something like that.
Peanut? There are. You worked for a peanut factory.
It'd probably be more like you're the heir to like the peanut throne than working in the factory, right? You'd
Yeah,
be
but
like
if
the heir to the
something
peanut.
You could be
sword,
the heir
like
to the
wonky.
peanut throne and never have to come into contact with a peanut.
Well,
Correct?
if you want to get the money, maybe,
No, why?
I guess.
Sit in a boardroom.
That's
and
true.
make moves.
Right.
But if you have to go to work every day and breathe that in, something that is really harming your body and causing you to have reactions that are painful to you, you need to figure this out. Am I leaving? Can I get a certain mask? Is there a medication I could take to not have this reaction? Whatever it is, you know, the same thing with toxic people. There are certain people that you could leave behind, even if it's hard. And there are certain people that you can't, because it might be somebody that you love or care about, or that's part of a family dynamic that you cherish. And then you need to figure out what gear or what medication, so to speak, would help you be able to tolerate that. How often, for what type of duration, right? So people figure these things out. It's not black and white. And I think these things can be navigated. But I don't think there's any time in your life where you're like, oh, I'm stuck with this toxic person. It is what it is. I don't think so. What, you're going to just die of a peanut allergy on the floor because you can't find another job? You figure it out.
What are characteristics, though, that you can see maybe in somebody else, or see that brings out of you, that brings out these characteristics, these negative feelings that you can associate with a person or a friendship that would be considered potentially toxic?
I mean, you might be able to speak to that better than me.
No, you're the therapist.
You're the therapist. Yeah, you're the toxic person.
A handful. Well, that's true. Yeah.
You're toxic. You admit it.
Well, let's see. What do I do that is toxic?
Are we going to play Britney later? Are we going to end with Britney?
Oh, it's great. I think I played that song on this once. I did.
Well, we can have a.
I did. Oh no, we'll play it again.
Let's go through the characteristics. Then.
Screw Sphera.
Narcissism, self-aggrandizement, ego. Yeah. Difficulty detaching.
In simplest terms, I think a toxic person for you is somebody that when you walk away from interacting with them, you feel completely drained and possibly even a little crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be like the simplest terms that
Sometimes
I would say.
It's fun, though. I got to be honest. Sometimes it is fun.
See, is that a bad thing, though? Because I have noticed toxic people, and they like this. They like.
Okay, great episode, Ahuva and Avery. Take a look at this on the webpage. We have some of our favorite clips of Rabbi Wallerstein, of blessed memory. He did so much for, the shidduch world. Take a look at this. We got, Avery and I's favorite clips from Rabbi Wallerstein. That's shidduchpodcast.com under articles, shidduchpodcast.com under articles.
Style and trend, please shop it.
Yes. This, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode has been sponsored by Style and Trend out in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Right.
They have some of the most top women's fashion trends, styles. Get your tops, get your bottoms, get your
IJ gets his
hats.
tops there.
What else? Shoes.
No,
They sell shoes
accessories,
too.
beanies. We got jewelry.
Okay,
all the fashionable Instagram brands that you see
Mention
on
nobody
gram.
talks shidduchim and get a discount.
Yes,
exactly. 10% off.
Okay,
We
10.
should do that
We're
for
giving
real.
10.
Yeah.
NTS 10 for 10% off. That's NTS 10.
Hashtag.
Tell Michal, Avery, IJ, and Tommy sent you.
Awesome.
What were we saying? Yeah, we were talking about characteristics.
No, we were talking about how toxic relationships can sometimes feel really fun.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain type of crazy that can be fun.
Oh, it could be fun. Yeah, like they lure you in. You know, it is fun. Like
500 Days of Summer. Remember that movie?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That
I mean,
psycho chick.
He thought it
Or
was
is it?
love. Yeah, he thought it was love. He wanted that. I don't know. Sometimes it's politics. Sometimes it's whatever it may be. There's something in that person that you want to get into some kind of scenario with them, and it just ends up being toxic.
Yeah, there are people that are charismatic. A lot of toxic people can be charismatic. Like you mentioned before, narcissism is a very toxic trait. People that are narcissistic can also sometimes be very charismatic. The party can always be buzzing around these types of people. You want to be where the life is, where the buzz is, right? But you end up over time feeling horrible about yourself.
Bad about yourself, yeah. That's what
you
I would
come
write.
home to the quiet, close your door, and you don't feel good from that experience.
So can we relate that to like a shidduch date? Like if you're going out on a shidduch date, and I hear it a lot from girls. I see it a lot from girls. I'm gonna say if I hear it, then I know it's me. But I've seen it a lot where like after the date, after like they render you that no, you'll get the feedback and. You'll get a voice note forwarded or you'll just hear, usually not, but you'll hear it back from the girl like, I just felt like not myself. I felt like it was just, and AKA maybe it was toxic. Is that a possibility? I mean, on a first, getting to know each other like that.
I don't think a first date really leads to a lot of those type of toxic relationship stuff. I think it's cycles and cycles of patterns and behaviors that are toxic. Some people are just toxic, or they're going through something in their life that's making them toxic. That's fine. But I think that the most toxic relationships are like patterns and patterns, and like time after time after time, this keeps happening. She keeps doing this, he keeps doing this, and you're starting to feel like you can't breathe in the relationship.
Yeah. I had a friend who was dating people, and he'd go on apps and he'd meet girls, and every time they would start getting pretty close to each other, or he would get to like a month or two, every single time he would find, even a year, he'd just find a reason to break up with these girls, despite the fact that they had great relationships and they were doing well. And clearly, he was one of these people. I don't want to, define him and put him in his box, but it seemed as though to me, as an outsider, and I'm not a therapist, so I'm not here to give him advice or anything, but it seemed like he had trouble committing, to the relationship and just putting himself fully out there and being entirely vulnerable with somebody and planning for the future. When many of these girls were interested in marriage and continuing that relationship. And for them, clearly for the girls, it became toxic for them. The relationship again, they just couldn't do it anymore.
For sure, because
they
there's
just
a level,
kept relying on something that just you cannot rely on.
Well, that's just a level of dishonesty there.
Right.
Because if the girls were under the impression that this was leading toward a long-term relationship and marriage, and he knew that he can never cross that bridge,
right,
then there's dishonesty.
Yeah. And it happens with platonic relationships many times, right? Because I think that the heart of the platonic relationships, and one of the biggest issues, and probably the reason we're discussing this, is because there's always one person in the relationship who wants it to be a little bit more than platonic. I think that's an accurate depiction of platonic relationships. There's always somebody who wants it to be a little bit more. And for that one person to hold out hope on this other person, that can be very toxic for you. No one's saying you can't be in platonic relationships. They're healthy.
It could be.
If they're healthy, they are good for you. I think. I'm making that proclamation right here, right now.
How many platonic relationships are you in, Avery?
Well, there is the secretary, Matilda, in my office.
I have this.
She's such a doll.
Where's the cricket? Oh, here. Okay. How
you
many
go.
are you in, Avery?
Does the virtual assistant count?
The virtual assistant.
Me and Siri,
Yeah.
Oh wait. So what was the question you said? So we right. Kind of platonic. If you're shidduch dating, right? Platonic relationship. Is that toxic? Is a toxic relationship platonic? Or whatever. Versus vice.
It's very weird for people in shidduchim to have platonic relationships.
I don't think.
They're dating in such a small.
Holds you back.
They're dating in such a narrow-minded marriage world, where if you have a friend that you're friends with that's a girl, yet you can also expect to be married within 2 months. Like, how do you reconcile that? It's a little bit of a conundrum to me. I can't really understand that. Or it's hard to understand.
We have to first identify a platonic relationship, and I'm going to ask Google here. Okay. I mean, I have like the not kosher version of it. I just want to get a good.
There's a not kosher version?
Like basically right here. Okay. Platonic love is a type of love that is not sexual or romantic. Okay. So it's pretty much what I was going to say, but they kept the sex part in there.
Yeah. I mean, if you Google it and you click on different definitions, they actually vary. The interesting thing that I read is that it actually comes from Plato.
The
philosopher.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is that actually platonic love was above physical and sexual love in Plato's hierarchy. So I think like in our vernacular discussions, we see platonic love as like the lower level love. Like,
yes,
we're just platonic.
Well, Plato makes a lot of sense, actually, if you think about it from this point of view. I mean, you always hear of these broadcasters and journalists who end up working together and they end up in relationships. A lot of them don't work, and some of them are forced, like Matt Lauer's relationships, but we're not talking about that. Like, people end up in just many of these journalists and actors who get together because they have similar mindsets. They're friends. they're friends before anything. Like we see that all the time. Many of the actors we watch on TV, and then they realize, oh, okay, now they bring in a different part, a different element,
Right.
a sexual element to the relationship. So I can understand if you took away the sexual aspect and the romantic aspect, well, not necessarily romantic, but the sexual aspect of a relationship, then yeah, it makes sense that platonic is a higher level because sexual is more animalistic.
That would be dangerous.
Almost purely physical.
So you're making a good case in shidduchim that this would be dangerous for your shidduch career, for your shidduch journey, which is finding the person you're going to marry. So you're making the case that it is very toxic.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
Yeah.
For me, someone who has actually I've been in a platonic relationship. I'm in a platonic relationship. And to me, I would identify a platonic relationship as, like a good friendship with a female, that we're not like, there's no sexual.
You don't pay her.
Yeah, I don't pay her. There's no sexual anything. We're just friends.
Yeah.
Both of them happen to, I grew up with them, and, we're there for each other in a sense that, a guy can't be. Like a guy might not be a bro. A bro might not be as empathetic or compassionate or understand from like the female's perspective. So it's nice to have that, and it's very calming, and I've enjoyed it. For me, certainly it does not at all impose in like a real relationship, because it's very platonic. I don't have any interest in ending up with that person. But I don't know, maybe like someone would tell me, oh, you two should end up together because I don't know. There's just, that's not how I would view it or look at it. Ahuva, you think it could be dangerous having a platonic relationship while you're like in shidduchim?
I don't like the word dangerous around platonic relationships.
Is it toxic? It's a danger. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, it's obviously very sensational, but we could just break it down a bit.
Mm-hmm. Break it down.
It's interesting on the Shid poll. Do you think your platonic relationship may get in the way of finding a romantic partner? 62% are saying yes right now.
Oh my God.
So that's interesting.
That is interesting.
I also think that there's two camps with platonic relationships. There's what you said. I have these friends, longtime friends from childhood. I have no sexual feelings towards them. They're good friends. I appreciate their feminine energy in my life.
I like that feminine energy. Yeah.
But like I don't see them like that. Almost like a sister or like something like that, right? Yep. And then there's this other camp that I think I've exposed a bit through different questions on the Shid, where people feel they can maintain a platonic relationship even if sexual feelings come up because it's off limits. So this might even come up with a married woman. I could be like a single guy, let's say, might say, or a married guy, it doesn't matter, can be friends with not their spouse. And I know it's off limits. I'm married, they're married. Maybe if we both weren't married and were available, it's possible that we'd end up in a sexual relationship, but we're off limits to each other. And I could maintain, because I'm not an animal and I have free will and I have self-control and I have moral and ethical boundaries, I can maintain a platonic relationship. And you see this in the single world too, where maybe a guy's saying, I can be in a platonic relationship with that girl and not make it sexual because I know she's not interested in me. So I can be in a platonic relationship, or the girl with the guy. So you were saying before, like there's always one, right, that might be thinking of it a little bit differently. I think relationships are dynamic. Think about like a heart monitor that goes up and down, up and down, up and down. I think that we can have a totally platonic day with somebody where we're just like chilling and we feel like friendly and just really there's no sexual tension. There's no pulse on that. And then you could just be having a hard day and you just sort of vent it out and you see how that person's like really listening to you. And then something starts to flare up and all of a sudden you get a pulse on the romantic barometer, right? So I don't think people can say like it's strictly platonic. I don't have feelings for them. We are human beings. Our feelings fluctuate. They come in, they go out, like the weather patterns, like fish in the sea. They come, they go, they come, they go. Can we just all be honest about that? Anyone who has been in a platonic relationship, it's possible that at times a more romantic or more than just friends feeling has sparked in your heart. And you may have pushed it down or ignored it or just moved on and just realized you were vulnerable and they were there for you in that way. And you don't really want that with them. So with the whole concept of can you be in a platonic relationship? Can a platonic relationship get in the way of finding a real partner? Depends on you. It really depends. I think everyone has to be really honest with themselves. How much of my emotional energy and brain space and how much of my heart is being given to this person and what's left for somebody else to find or to attract somebody else? I don't think it's black and white. I don't think it's black and white.
Is.
It's never black and white. Only the shid
That's
grid.
why we're here. That's
Right.
why we're
Exactly.
here.
Right. Well,
That's why Uncle IJ and Sister Shid and Uncle Avery.
I thought I was the mean stepfather.
That actually
The toxic
Cruella,
stepfather.
Cruella
Yeah.
Avery.
Real Avery.
How does that land? How does that land? What I just said.
Oh, it makes me
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
It makes me think. No, it's good. Yeah, I like that. Oh, you
It's challenging to process because yes, human beings, right? I ascribe to the contextual psychological theory that everything is based on context, right? It's not necessarily, we're not naturally whoever we are. Our personalities don't come from our nature, our genes per se. And I don't really believe they come from our nurture per se. It's sort of context. Like I can be called an introvert in many situations, yet there are other situations where somebody would say, oh, maybe you might be a little bit more extroverted in this situation. So when it comes to these relationships with women, maybe with certain type of girls, you would do better having a platonic relationship. Maybe with other girls, you wouldn't, right? We need to put context into it. Say you grew up in a very frum home and you're just starting to figure out that there's a life outside of this little box and this rule set that you were given, that where maybe they said you weren't allowed to talk to girls and you weren't allowed to have any, platonic relationships with girls. Maybe for you, that would be beneficial. A relationship with a girl that's sort of healthy, that you can just talk and chat all day, maybe that'd be a good thing for you, But
It
for someone
is.
else who is not, who grew up in a very modern home, who is, a floozy, who's just hanging out with many girls, is like Jada Pinkett Smith of, the Jewish world. Is
where
that
does
may
this
not
Jewish
be a good
Jada Pinkett?
Meaning there's
Where does that exist?
I don't know. Could be.
Although the rabbi will,
It's
smack
definitely
me
not
in
in
the
this-
face. I talked to Rebbitzin.
Yeah,
James,
there's no Jada Pinkett Smith in this apartment, but it could be that it is better for somebody to just limit themselves to one person.
there was
so
it's I like that point and jumping on that point.
Yeah.
There was a rabbi I listened to. I give him a shout out. Obviously, Rabbi Wallerstein passed away, and he's in my heart. Shout out. And I remember he used to say a lot. Don't hang out with girls. Boys don't hang out with girls. Girls don't hang out with guys. And I get that in the beginning.
Blanket statement, right? Black
Yeah,
and white.
I think it's very black. I mean, it's very black and white at the frum community, which I am formerly a member of, currently banned or whatever.
Shadow band.
Shadow banned. I like that shadow banned. I'm shadow banned from the frum community. And at one point in time, I went to co-ed school, and I had more girls who were friends, and I did have a girlfriend. And I enjoyed that a lot. I was able to talk because I come from a family of girls. And then we moved, and I went to Yeshiva South Shore, so it's like a lot more stark, or supposed to be shark. And then I kind of went on that black hat, not me personally, but just the schools I chose, and all of a sudden, it became Evil Knievel to just get into any relationship with girls, and that was the end of it. But when I came back on, when I was really into the shidduch journey, I found that in order to kind of like calm myself from all those shidduch dates and everything, I better related to my friends who were girls rather than friends who were guys. And for me, I that's like my experience with it. And I did want to comment on what you were saying, Avery, or maybe Ahuva said it, but like, yeah, there certainly there definitely is a little sexual tension or something there. It's not like it doesn't exist, but like you were saying, we're controlled. We're not gonna, you know, we know at where our situation lies. You know, my first, like, I think real platonic relationship with a good friend, like, well, she was like one of my, I think at the time we would both consider each other like very, very good friends, not best friends, but very, very good friends. And she got married, and that was it. Like, you know, it was a very, I was happy to let her go, because like, hey, you're married now. I don't want to be involved in that. And I get that.
Wait, but why not? Why don't you want to be involved in that?
Well, because she's married, and you know,
And
it's like, well, she's married, and that it's you know, that relationship we had, that's like meant for her husband. It's not meant for me, or at least in my opine view. And also, furthermore, just, you know, I think out of just simple preference, you know, there's some people that maybe grow up with it and they have more access to opposite gender friends. Mm-hmm. And that means more. I mean, I just recently saw the oh my God, a classic with Julia Roberts.
I did not watch this.
My best friend's wedding.
For the record, thank God. People
did
know.
you fall asleep? No. I made him watch the proposal.
On the air.
With,
I did not watch it.
Oh God,
name? Horrible. Sandra Bullock, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The worst, absolute worst.
People,
horrible.
If you have Netflix accounts, Hulu's, just send it over to us right now. We have like Avery TV on here. I don't even know who owns this. It's like some low-class local Netflix, and they're like, this is, you know, they gave it to us for free. It came free with TV, and that's all that was playing.
Yeah, once Game of Thrones is over, it's like the baby for us. Like, once that's over, like empty nesters, we're going to go our separate ways.
Yes.
Upstairs, downstairs.
Good correlation.
You know, it's the only thing we can relate to.
So basically, anyway, yeah, so husband, yeah, she got married, and that was it. I haven't spoken to her since.
So that's really interesting, and you're with a lot of the shids on this, because they were asked, would you mind if your boyfriend, girlfriend, and or husband, wife has platonic friends? And 69% at this point said yes.
Of course, 69%.
So
that's the episode number.
Yeah. So what that
69% said what?
69% said they would mind. And you said how when your platonic friend got married, you sort of backed away. What does this mean?
Does that mean that these people are just jealous and
no?
rageful?
Wait. Before we get there,
we'll get there eventually. Yeah.
What this statistic shows me, or what your feelings about your friend getting married and you backing away because that's her husband's space now shows me, is that you were experiencing something with this girl that is experienced in the context of a romantic relationship, and you don't feel it's your place anymore. Because if you didn't feel that you were taking some space of a romantic partner, then it would not be in conflict with her romantic partner. Mm-hmm. I don't have to drop my friends when I get married. It's not my husband's job to be my friend. That's a whole nother podcast.
That is. We have to do another episode on that because it's so prevalent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah.
I hear that.
So it's just proving the rule in a way. It is. Not that I'm into rules and I'm into gray area, but if you would be uncomfortable with your spouse holding on to their platonic relationships, or you would be uncomfortable holding on to your platonic relationship once they get married, then there was something happening between the two of you that you feel is more appropriate in a romantic relationship.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's why it became so deeply integrated in your mind. I guess not integrated is not the word, but deeply hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it hits a chord because there's something else going on.
Yeah. Same thing. Like imagine you're dating someone and that person says, I really don't want you to talk to her anymore. And you might say like, oh my God, her, like we have like nothing like that going on. Right. She feels there is something going on. Mm-hmm. You feel like there's not. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who feels threatened?
Yep.
That's where maybe jealousy, insecurity come into play. Bottom line is, I think it's natural I think even like when you look biblically in the Torah with sister wives, we're all fighting over
Cain
the man.
and Hevel fighting over God's love.
I did, yeah.
God's love. Well, I heard something about Cain and Hevel. Please correct me.
Go.
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. That Cain was born with one twin girl who he married.
Right.
And Hevel was born with 2 twin sisters that he got to marry. And Cain was jealous that he had 2 and he only had 1.
I have heard that. I don't want to say it was a Zohar, but you know, that's the only thing I really have read. But I have heard that. Yeah.
Why
And
does
I
he
think
marry?
it's just a fluffy tale that the Rebbeim tell us.
I don't think it's a fluffy tale.
No. What the Rebbeim tell us.
Oh, yeah. They were
first
fighting over
grade.
God's
Right,
love.
that's what they
No,
did
they're
tell us,
fighting
yeah.
over
Oh
like
my
hay
gosh.
and
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. The
And that's the
Karbanos were accepted. And again,
There's
I'm
a
sure
lot.
there's different layers
the
here.
Torah.
you know.
There's a lot of layers.
That's
There is a lot of
outrageous. I'll tell
layers,
you,
but our community loves to sanitize the Torah.
Yeah.
They love to
Yeah.
rate it G
Yeah.
when it's absolutely not.
That's one of our community, our conceptual introductions to resentment, though, was the Cain and Hevel, Cain and Abel story, right? Where one person becomes resentful over whatever it is that he felt wronged them. And potentially that's what occurs in these platonic relationships. Like you said before, when somebody's asked to drop a relationship. I have a friend who was asked to drop a relationship with his own parents before they got married.
Wow.
And I'm sure if they would have continued down that path and actually gotten married, there would have been deep resentment because he would have done it out of a place
Sure.
of hatred and not really understanding and doing it because of someone else. And
Yeah.
I think when it comes to platonic and toxic relationships, you have to really, like we say, always be honest with yourself, right? But do things out of a place of, do it from a healthy place if you can find that place.
Healthy.
With the help of trained therapists like Ahuva, and with the help of really searching, within yourself to find what's a healthy relationship. Having a person be in a friendship with you because you're lonely, no matter what, is not a good way. It's not a good reason to be in a relationship. It's not a good reason to be in a friendship.
Right.
So
not
whether or
gonna
not
lend
it's platonic, it's not.
Doesn't
not a
lend
healthy
itself to a
place.
fulfilling
Yeah,
relationship.
exactly.
I want to go to number 8 here on the list, which I really like, and it says how to identify whether or not you are a toxic influence on your friends. And it's interesting. It's interesting because I remember I went into business with a friend who I ended up being the toxic one, and I did realize it. And like Ahuva was saying, that those signs were there. I felt like gross after I would, get into a conversation with him.
Did you notice that the relationship was toxic, or did you realize that you were toxic?
I realized, let me think. So we were working together, and first, the relationship, the professional relationship I had with him was toxic.
Right. Exactly.
So and that's what I think I mean by toxic. That's in my mind a differentiator between a toxic relationship and just a bad relationship, which you're not going to have. If you have a bad relationship with someone, cut them out, sayonara, bye-bye. But a toxic relationship is a relationship that you have to have with someone, or you need to have with someone, and you need to realize the boundaries that you have to, impose in order to survive. So whether it's a family member and you draw those boundaries, great. If it's with a shadchanit, which happens all the time, great. Like I have, like in shidduchim, you're going to hear pushback from the girls, from the shadchan. Is that what you're really looking for? Are you sure you're really that on that status as you think you are? And you have to just draw the line and say you're crossing a line. I do want to still work with you because maybe you don't have an option, or maybe that person actually is a good shadchan, right? We know people who can't, who won't set you up, can't, whatever, and say, I can't talk to you about that. And then next time you're going to say, this person is a toxic relationship. I'm going to give it I'm going to give it another chance. For me, that's my strategy. I'm going to give it another chance, but I'm going to work around bringing up those topics that kind of make it toxic. And if I can't get around that, then forget that. It's not going to work out. I don't want any part of it. Sayonara. It's not worth it in that sense.
Right. So back to your question, how do you know if you're the toxic one? Nobody who's toxic is going to ever think that they're toxic. So when you said that story and you're like, and then I realized that I was being toxic, right? Yeah. And then I asked you, were you toxic or was the relationship toxic? And you said the relationship was toxic.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't believe that if you were actually toxic, that you would have that self-awareness about it.
Yeah, you could be a great person. You're a great person. And that person's a great person. You're both amazing people.
Yeah.
But working together in that setting is bringing you down. Is really kind of like creeping into a trigger maybe that you have that's tearing you down. And you have to go around that.
Yeah. Here's another one, and it goes back to that story you were saying about not talking to parents. What if you're dating somebody or you get married to somebody and you notice that when they're around their parents, they mistreat you? But when you're not around their parents, they're amazing. What's happening? Which
you are your environment, right?
I'm assuming something's happening to this person where they don't feel free to be fully themselves, or they regress because of certain traumas or experiences or attachment patterns when they're around their parents. So let's say you're dating this wonderful person and you have a wonderful relationship, except for that. And she's like, listen, I can't have you near your parents because you mistreat me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You become toxic to me when you're around them. Do you see how this all interplays?
Yeah. Third party.
I'll add on to that. Like, say somebody was in law school when you started dating and they didn't have a job yet. They get into law school. This is their life stream. They married you. All of a sudden, their hours turn from 40 hours and spending time with you to 90 hours and miserable because they take it up the you-know-what from their boss daily to get everything done.
Yeah.
And then the relationship changes.
Oh, sure.
So,
but that's like that's a relationship changing.
Becomes toxic.
It could become toxic.
It can become toxic from various factors.
And with the spouse, that's certainly a problem. Or at least, I guess, in this context, let's say you're dating someone like that, which happens, you start dating someone and it's at the end of college or graduate school or even their first job, and then they're moving on. And by the time you're already engaged, like you're engaged or when you're engaged or whenever, if you're later in the relationship, now they're taking the next step and they're changing. They're becoming a different person.
Yeah. Right. So two healthy people would be able to navigate that, right? So another
but we don't have healthy people in
another
we're dealing with the shidduch world here.
Another piece of toxic is that they're not people you could work things out with.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to accept that.
And you have to accept that, and then the changes have to be made within you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So toxic people do not know they're toxic. They can't hear that there's anything wrong with them, and they definitely can't be involved in a conversation with you to talk about the quality of your relationship. That's toxic. A relationship changing over time because life circumstances change could be very normal. It could be growing pains. It's healthy if the couple can sit down and talk it through, how they're feeling about it, make some changes or not make some changes and say like, this sucks, but it's just a stage and I need to give this 3 years and then it will be like, you need to come together on it.
Yes.
Toxic people cannot come together on anything.
Yeah. On that other one you were saying that, oh my God, that happens so many times. So many friends of mine, myself included, like having gone through that where they had to just like admit defeat, like, hey, this sucks, but I know it's going to change. And, just outside circumstances. Again, same stuff. I guess in like, even in, by the way, even in like, even in shidduchim itself, I found that to be relatable in this context as well, because maybe you're not the best dater and you become a bit of a toxic person in the beginning, and then if they stick it out, great, now you're moving on to bigger and better. Or as Avery was saying, where in the beginning it's all fun and games, and then all of a sudden, there's more work, there's more so there's some trigger that makes that leads it into a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the sexual stuff.
Before we get there,
Platonic.
I just want to comment on that previous one. I think that from what I've read, and I'm not considering meditative and Buddhist practices necessarily here, but
Really?
one
Tell
thing
me more.
that I've heard that helps people, it's helped me at least with many of these things, is learning to just detach, a lot of detachment from many of anything that you feel extremely passionate about or strongly about, or have strong, feeling emotions about whatever it is. Just learning to detach yourself from those thought processes is very healthy and beneficial to me, or at least the person, because it gives you a bit of a break from that mindset. And there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of a break from people or things or thought processes. I know that in relationships, if I felt too connected to somebody, dependent on them, I would just, now at least I feel like I can just sort of take a step back, detach myself from the thought that I need to be in a relationship, I need to be with somebody, I need to be with somebody in particular at a certain time, just sort of let it be. It's very zen and meditative, all that positivity crap, but it is very helpful, and I think it could help.
He's such a guy.
People. I think it could help people. Yeah, no.
I think that knowing that you are not your feelings is very, very helpful, because feelings could be very overwhelming and drown you, and then take the wheel and make really poor choices.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea of taking a step back. I don't love the word detachment for some reason. I'm cool with you using it, but I don't think I would use that word. I think maybe taking space from what you're feeling.
Yeah, taking space.
And realizing that you are not your feelings, and it's okay to feel that way, but that feeling doesn't need to lead to what happens next. Take some space.
Yeah.
I think they're important feelings. Why are they coming up? Why am I feeling this way? Can this resolve?
And by the way, that what you're saying could be overture from a toxic relationship. I've had good friends, I born and raised, went to school, yeshiva, all the good stuff, as the rabbis would say. And, during our shidduch years, the relationship really changed. And at some point when I kind of grew up and learned what a toxic relationship is, I had an epiphany. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a toxic relationship with this person, and I had to kind of do this where, let me, wait, you said detach, you said, what was the politically correct word?
Give space.
Space, yes. I was like, it's so funny because I'm a guy and this stuff is new, but I'm sure girls have been doing this for a long time. But I have to give space.
It's more like weaning off
from this person.
It's like weaning off of a codependency.
Weaning off. See, I like that.
Also, if you think about it, there are some things in life that are toxic and you don't want to be right next to it, but you're cool being 5 blocks away, right? I don't want to live next to a cell tower, but I'm okay if it's down the block maybe, right?
Yeah.
So with toxicity, the closer you are to it, in terms of frequency and proximity, the more toxic it is for you. So it's really just being honest with yourself and giving space. Wow, I don't know that I want to be that close to that. Just this morning, I was going to someone's house and there was those little flags on their lawn that it was sprayed with pesticides or weed, whatever. So I was walking around. She's like, oh, you could cut through the grass. I'm like, I'm going to walk around. I don't want to be that close to anything toxic. I'm going to walk around.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? So even if it's inconvenient, even if it hurts, I happen to like getting the steps in, but somebody else might be like, I have to walk all the way around.
Fitbit, Apple, you're an Apple girl.
I mean,
but I walked around because I don't want to have that toxicity that close to me.
Right. Many people have this with schools they go to, They
yeah,
switch
I've
shuls,
developed it
they-
with shuls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this.
Toxic rabbis, toxic
Yeah.
shuls,
I had
toxic
this,
Toxic
Judaism.
shuls is big for guys. See, there are girls out there, by the way, ask me to explain when I
Yeah.
say the shul stuff. But yeah, there are toxic shuls out
Toxic therapists. Can I
there. Yeah,
add?
there
Mhm.
was, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Talk about, intimate relationships becoming toxic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very.
Mhm.
There
You
wa-
know some, right, Avery?
There was, were, and that is their pronouns. Was, were. As well. But yeah, there are.
I don't think Instagram allows was were.
Well,
I've
Instagram,
tried like
yeah.
so many.
No,
and they're like, no.
really?
Like, why do
We're
you get
lowered.
to choose
We
what I can
forgot
choose
to
from?
announce our pronouns before the podcast.
Want it to be like holy or like
Oh,
your
we should do that.
highness. Like
Holy.
they would not hear of it.
Mine is Jewish cheap. Jewish cheap
That is hilarious.
pronouns. That
I'm
is.
the
That
bastard.
is like a girl repellent right there. Not the Jewish part necessarily.
Well, I thought it would be a transgender repellent, but it has not.
it hasn't worked.
I only get hit on by.
Transgender.
Yeah.
That's something within you.
It's not good.
Change those pronouns.
Pronouns.
What are your pronouns, Isaac?
My lord.
My lord.
My lord.
Mr. Shid is a lord.
What? Tell me more.
Mhm.
Is he British?
Tell me more.
No, it's Scottish.
Scottish? Is he
He's
Scottish?
Scottish.
He's not.
He's Scottish.
But for his birthday, like a few years ago, I bought him land in Scotland.
No way.
Land?
And now I'm a lady, and he's a lord.
I love that. How can you?
And
Wow.
you can change your license. You
What's the
can
website?
change your passport. You could. It's like a legal document. You could change stuff.
Wow.
That's like I'm a minister in the Church of Dudism.
Dudism.
Yeah, it's a guy thing. It's like this movie. Yeah. Okay, so it's like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's
But you
real.
have to,
Like,
like, pay
I
real
own
money.
land. Like also, like I bought land
Sheesh.
for
Avery,
for
go live in
Shemitah,
Scotland.
right? Because I wanted to partake in the mitzvah of Shemitah, so I bought some
So
land.
nice. I love
Like
this.
I have land in Israel. I have land in Scotland.
You're so from.
Look at me.
You're a landlord.
From-
That's
you're-
the definition
I'm a
of
landlord.
from. Landlord
That's it,
is
landlord.
the first thing.
Is that
Yeah.
where it comes from?
Landlord
I
comes
didn't
from.
think
It's
so.
in the Torah. Vayehi b'mei landlord. And that's how we were born.
What are some activities you can delve into when you're like in this toxic relationship and you're trying to get out of it? Like I know you mentioned to pull back, but is there something
Sex.
to break it in a platonic relationship?
No, I'm messing around. Yeah.
I think sex would just kill it.
I think that's
right?
a Seinfeld episode where they have
Because
to have
someone's gonna
sex
want
to
more.
either to make the relationship or break the relationship. It's
That is one. Yeah,
That is an
I
episode.
can't remember. I remember.
Well, sex
yeah.
is like
Boyfriend
that.
girl. It's like-
It either brings life or death. There's not much in between. you
Yeah.
know? Either stirs things into existence or kills it off. So yeah.
I have many deaths on my hands. Many as Putin.
Yeah.
Not
But
good.
I don't know. Even in like a shidduch, it's not just obviously sex or touching, but maybe it could just be trying to make it official. I think that scares Jewish girls off even
Definitions.
way more.
Make
Yeah,
what
just
official?
defining.
Defining what
Like
they're in.
like we were platonic.
Friends.
Now let's be a couple. It's like no. You know.
I think that's also very black and white thinking. It's more like, I know we're good
Well,
friends.
I wish they can wake up.
Right,
I
I
wish
know-
it could wake
so-
up
so how's
because
this?
I got out of a relationship recently, and I tell you, I don't wish this girl well. First girl, I'm like, I don't wish this one well because I'm hurt. I'm like still carrying it around. Maybe we should book a session.
Yeah, anytime.
And
She's alive by then. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
She's
I'll
not
have to
Brian Laundry.
she won't be.
We'll visit
Brian
you in
Laundrie.
jail.
Oh my! I totally get that guy now. No,
Yeah.
thank God. Oh my God.
I'm just
sick
kidding.
Okay. Now I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway.
No, there's
So
no,
right, so we met like casually, and were more platonic in the beginning. So we were friends. Like I liked her, and I was very attracted to her, and I don't really know what the truth is on her side, but she was, but we ended up dating. Now the only thing was, I felt like because we had that platonic friendship in the beginning, it kind of weighed in when like we were ready, we were supposed to take the next steps, or I wanted more. And on top, she gave me a lame excuse, like I was telling you before, it was age or whatever. But I felt like in that that ended up being a predicament, and I got my tuchus handed to me. That was it. Didn't work out. So maybe
so
sometimes.
were you dating or were you friends?
No, we were dating. We were friends, and then we were dating.
So when did it go south? when you asked for more?
Yeah, when I asked for more.
What more did you want?
A ring.
You wanted to propose.
Yeah, like I wanted to know where were we here, because I had more feelings than at that point.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, whatever. There are a lot of circumstances there, but my point being, I think that would be a perfect case of, hey, this was started out platonic. We tried, we took it to the next level of we're in a relationship, and then bam, once again, the girls.
But she didn't bail when you tried to take it from platonic to more than that. She bailed like when you started talking like marriage.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, like we were seeing each other for a good
right. I'm just saying, like,
you know?
it doesn't follow the having that hard conversation with somebody you're in a platonic relationship with. It doesn't follow that line. That's not why she bailed.
I hear.
Right. There is a way to we're talking about the black and white, like, oh, what are we? What are we? That's a very non-conducive relationship, as I said, because relationships are dynamic. We were this yesterday.
No
we were
definitions.
that this morning. Tonight will be something else, right? Like we flow. We flow with ourselves. We flow with other people. So I think that when somebody is in a platonic relationship and they want to check in with the other person, like, could we explore if there might be a romantic piece to us here? I think that's just a great way to say it. Like, hey, like I really value our friendship and it's totally cool to stay just that. I'm wondering if you ever feel like there's more to explore.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
And then they could be like,
I'm gonna use that.
no, I'm not really feeling like that. And be like, okay, I just wanted to check in.
Yeah, I feel like they're all going to say that. No, not really. Not really.
Well,
no,
I think that there have been many times where people ended up marrying people that they were at first in platonic relationships with.
Where are they?
They're
Where
out
do
there.
they
So
many.
exist?
Yeah, there's so many. We were just friends, and then actually just met one over.
Maybe not
pizza.
Jewish, but there are people.
No, Jewish from totally.
No, like Jewish.
We worked together in the
Jewish
hospital. I saw him all the time. He was a high
yeah, we know a
lifeline
guy.
guy. I was a
That I
nurse.
get.
Blah
I know
blah
somebody
blah.
I have somebody
I
on my
totally
top of my
didn't
head.
think he was into me, and then all of a sudden the nurses were like,
Oh,
yeah.
that happened to
I'll keep it on.
Devore, who came on.
Can't say it on the pod. Yeah.
No, he came on the show.
He came on the show, right? Devore. He's
yeah.
the guy. He's your guy. Yeah, he said on the show.
He's not my guy.
He
He's
was-
your guy.
He's your guy.
He's your
I'm not
guy.
taking
Nobody
credit for
wants him.
Oh, he's Laster's guy.
You're right. He is Laster's guy.
He was
Explains it.
Laster's guy.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I
No,
root
this
with
guy
Laster
had a
and this
story.
guy.
His current wife.
His current wife.
Together, right?
His current wife,
Nothing's changed.
which he's married to.
She denied him like
The
5
first
times.
wife?
He tried
His
dating.
first wife, which is his
Yeah,
first wife.
he tried going out with her a bunch of times, and she denied, and she wasn't interested. And then
But that was
they
work.
became friends,
work.
and they started studying together. And over time, he slipped her some Mickeys, and she just said, "Okay,
Some
know what?
Mickeys?
Some alcohol." And there they were.
Are you hanging out
He
with
was
African
pregnant
Americans?
Wow.
She was pregnant.
I
He
wonder
was
if she
married.
was relationship
No.
avoidant in general, or if it was him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I would sit down with her,
Mm.
maybe she was just relationship avoidant, and he broke through that barrier for her. Maybe it wasn't her rejecting him.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, very good point.
We'll get him back on.
Well, yeah, we're gonna. I want to do like a workplace romance episode. So
We got to do the
you'll come back.
star-crossed lovers as well. People who are not meant to be together. That somehow, of course,
that are together.
Right.
Yeah. I hear
Princess
that.
Jasmine and
We have
Aladdin.
We have a few more
Jon
minutes.
Snow
Is
in
there
English.
anything else, Ahuva? I like. I want to give you the open mic.
Open mic.
About this toxic relationships, platonic relationships. I wanted to give you the mic.
And if you
on
feel
this.
Isaac is being toxic in any way, please just
I'm toxic.
please tell him. Tell him he needs a little.
I can't
punch.
be. I mean, well, yeah, well.
All right, folks, that brings in a closing of episode 69. Stay tuned for part 2, episode 70, toxic relationships, platonic friendships, coming up next.
Ouchie's Media Network.